Hi, my name's Alf Milliken and welcome back to Information Security. I hope you found Module 2 interesting. If you have not had a chance to watch it, I suggest that you check it out. We'll now move on to Module 3 that looks at data security. So Alf, can you explain exactly what data is? Data can be a confusing term and not really understood by everyone. It might be easier to think of it as being similar to the possessions that you have in your household, in that they comprise of many different types of items, some that are personal, some that you share, some that are valuable and some that are disposable. But how does this relate to IT? The actual items being referred to in an IT context when we say data may be documents and files or databases, images, in fact anything that can be stored in a computer. So Alf, why should I be concerned about data anyway? Well, because data is something that most of us are handling every day. Some are visible and some of it not. So what specifically should I be concerned about when it comes to working with data? Because we're handling the data, it's important to know how to create, save and destroy data in a secure way to maintain information security for ourselves and for the organization that we work for. So does it really matter where I save data? As long as I can get to it, isn't that okay? Well, when we create data, for example, a Word document, we grant permission automatically to access or change it depending on where we save it. With social media, when we post an item, we grant permission to everyone we have trusted to view, copy and share that post. Has anyone ever shared an image on their phone with you? So when I create a document, what should I be thinking about? Well, it's important to think about what we are creating and editing and who will have access to it. In contrast to saving data, when we delete data, it might not be retrievable. Therefore, it's important to think about where we save our data and who we grant access to it. What about things that I print and letters that get sent to me? While other data we work with is on a device, there are occasions when we work with printed paper documents and our physical desktop. So Alf, how would anyone see my printed document? Well, passers-by may have a sneak peek or even take the paperwork with them unintentionally. What about paperwork thrown into the bin with information still readable? Think about who may have access to that information as it leaves your desk and finally ends up in the refuse somewhere. So it's important that the printed documents you handle get properly stored or disposed of when you're finished with them. So Alf, when you say properly disposed, what do you mean? Exactly that, destroyed in such a way that it could not be retrieved by anyone. But please don't set things on fire. But Alf, what if other people can change my document? So when we create data most of the time, we intend it for a specific recipient or group of recipients. Ensuring data integrity is usually important and could have legal implications. Maintaining data integrity can be controlled by managing the access to the data. That's the important part, managing the access to it. Usually read-only or edit permissions can be applied to the data file that you create. Now, what's so important about editing data then? Well, similar to creating data, editing data also poses a risk to maintaining data integrity. For example, mistakes like updating the phone number and getting a digit wrong could have a serious implication in the case of an emergency. It's important that the data that you enter into the system is accurate. Well, if I just tear up a document or delete it, isn't that good enough? Data destruction is an important part of maintaining information security. The data we handle and create could possibly contain information like bank details, addresses, phone numbers, names, and confidential letters, some printed and some digital. So how could that information be useful to someone? Well, think about what data might be needed to set up a credit card in your name. So it's important to completely destroy the data that you want to dispose of. Well, we covered risk posed by printed media in a previous slide. In addition to that, is there any other risks that I should be aware of? Well, printing data immediately exposes it to anyone who has access to the printer you sent it to. Many hotels, TAFEs, universities, internet cafes, and such like offer printed services that are usually located in public areas by design, and therefore pose a great risk of exposure for any document that you send to the printer. Well, what about USB drives? I like to back up my data on a USB drive. It's great to know where it is, and I've always got a copy and I've got a backup of that as well. Well, this flexibility comes with a risk of loss or destruction of the USB device itself. What do you mean? Well, a simple event where the USB drive is left in a pocket and put into the washing machine by mistake may make the drive unusable and lead to data loss. And that's just one example of the vulnerability of a portable drive. I always check my pockets before I put my trousers into the wash. You never know, there could be money in there. Yeah, another obvious risk is misplacement, where the data becomes available to anyone who plugs it into their computer. Well, are cloud services a safer way to store information? Well, cloud services like OneDrive propose to take away some of the risks of data security from the user by storing all of our files in the cloud. That's a data center or a room full of computers. While this is mostly a good solution, some of the features delivered by cloud computing expose some human failures that are common to all of us. Please explain. One example of this is the sharing feature in OneDrive, where we are given the opportunity to share the folder and its documents with other people inside and outside of the realm of our organization. And now, how is that a risk? The risk comes from possibly allowing information to get into the wrong hands. This may happen if, say, a confidential document like Alf's pay rise is saved into a folder that was shared previously to someone for other purposes. Well, in summary, the documents, files, folders, databases, etc. that we are working on every day comprise of digital and physical items. Where we store them, how we dispose of them, and who we give access to them will determine their and the organization's data security. You are the person in control of your share, and your decisions make a difference to the failure or success of the entire process. And now for some fun where staff go into a panic when they discover the system has been compromised.
This office has a leak. Chloe, I can't log in.
Some sensitive information has been sort of given to the wrong hands.
Have you guys seen a blue USB key?
Look up ransomware.
No!
How can I lose control of my own laptop?
They've hacked his account. They're reading his emails.
It would be bad for morale if I was to leave my iPad in the taxi.
I understand that many presentations may be tedious and retaining the material can be a challenge. So I've tried to make these presentations amusing and informative, and highlighting the key points that you should take away with you and put into action when you leave this presentation. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. You can now complete the quiz relating to this module, then go on to Module 4 to learn about device security.